Hey guys, Magic Man here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a game in the Tier 4 Premium Battleship, the Arkansas Beta. It was only a ship given to people who played in the beta of the game as a reward, so if you didn't play in the beta, unfortunately you cannot get this ship. And I'm just going through some of the skills that I have here. I don't play this ship very much, so the captain is not very high level, but it is what it is. And it is a sister ship to the Wyoming. I'm basically doing this video just as a kind of guide as how to play the lower tier American battleships. The big difference between this ship and its sister ship, the Wyoming, is that the Arkansas Beta has 12-inch guns versus the 14-inch guns that you'll find on the Wyoming. And the Arkansas Beta has no anti-aircraft. It has an anti-aircraft rating of 0, where the Wyoming, while its anti-aircraft is bad, to say the least, it does have some. So you're going to find that you'll get bombed in this ship a lot if you're playing good aircraft carriers, because they're going to know that you have no anti-aircraft at all. So starting off the game here, I am in a Tier 5 game with 2 aircraft carriers. And unfortunately for me, because of the aircraft carriers, I have to stick with everyone else, which really sucks because at these tiers, most of the time your team doesn't do what they need to do to win. They just kind of all sail together in one corner of the map and die. And you're pretty much going to see that here in this game. I do everything in my power to make sure that this goes well for my team, but unfortunately I'm in an American battleship and my top speed is like 20 knots, so I can't move around very well. Basically, in an American battleship, you have to decide where you want to go before the game starts, because you're so slow. If you go to the end of the map where there are no enemies, you're basically going to be out of the fight for at least 5 to 7 minutes typically. So in the American battleships, I usually, on a domination mode like this particular one, I like to head in between the 2 caps so that I can contest either one of them. Now, because there are 2 carriers on the enemy team, I basically have to stick with everyone else on my team so that I don't get bombed. Because if I get separated from these guys with all the anti-aircraft fire, I'm going to die a horrible death to aircraft. So you really need your cruisers and other battleships to kind of stay within 5 kilometers of each other in this ship, and you really need them to go where they can be useful. Like right now, it seems like everybody's heading up to B and C. Our destroyer is trying to cap the B point, and I'm really just full steam ahead trying to catch the guys in front of me, because I see all these aircraft coming in and I don't want to get bombed. Unfortunately, in the Arkansas Beta, my range is only 14 kilometers, so I can't shoot at anybody yet, which is one of the, well, it's one of the crappy points about this ship, the range and the fact that you have no anti-aircraft, because unfortunately at these lower tiers people still play carriers, because you can do kind of well in them. Because most of the ships down at this tier don't really have much anti-aircraft fire to put up. But luckily for me, he's not going after me. This carrier's dropping on the cruisers and everybody else that's around here. And I spot a Hoagie in front of me that's broadside on. So, take a shot. Felt like that was pretty good aim. Another one of the weak spots, and we just lost 1,000 damage. Another one of the weak spots of the Arkansas Beta, where it's not so much of an issue in the Wyoming, is 12-inch guns at this range against another battleship. You're not going to actually penetrate their citadel. Unfortunately, you're going to do a lot of armor-piercing damage, but you're not really going to get many citadels, if any at all. And there we go, Lance about 10,000 damage there. 2 broadside salvos. Unfortunately, I got no citadels. which sucks. But you can still Citadel cruisers, and you should, whenever one is presenting you with a broadside, take the opportunity to take them out of the game. And that was just kind of a ranging shot there with our middle turret. And as you saw, I overshot him, but I figured he would kind of flatten out and turn a little bit, but he kind of did. Those shots landed more in the front half of his ship. And I've noticed with the German cruisers,
enemy heavily damaged.
To get a Citadel, you have to aim a little bit more forward than the rest of the cruisers of various nations. And I'm going to take a shot at this Kaiser. I noticed he was starting to turn in, so I'm going to bring him up, aim a little bit down. And right now, I'm used to playing destroyers, so this is a really bad job on my part. You don't want to drive behind islands and stuff if you don't have to, because as slow as you move, it's going to take you out of the fight for a really long time, and your allies really need that supporting fire. And so I'm trying to make this turn here, and I do actually make it. And right now I'm kind of checking out the map, because the enemy team has capped both A and B, and we haven't even capped C yet, so I am actually going to go into C to try and cap it. Unfortunately, none of my teammates are pushing into any of the caps. They're all just sitting down here, I don't know, doing whatever. Our one destroyer that we have, unfortunately, is not capping for whatever reason. And get some pretty decent penetrating damage on that Wyoming. I was taking a look to see if I could hit that Maogi, which I can't because it's on the other side of that island. And at this point, unfortunately, we are down in ships, and really I'd have to say we're down in skilled players too. Besides me, I'm not sure if there's anybody else on our team that's really played too many games, because they don't seem to know what they need to do to win. And that Kamikaze R on the enemy team is just wrecking all of our battleships. And get some fairly crappy penetrating damage on that Wyoming. Did one penetration for no damage, and then I got an over penetration for 830 damage, so I must have hit a part of a ship that was already saturated with damage. And I'm just kind of staying kind of bow into this guy. I'm not, you notice I don't have my bow pointed directly at him. I have maybe about a 20-degree angle, so that all of his shots coming in are going to hit the side of my ship and not the nose of it, because he can't actually penetrate the nose. He can't really penetrate my side at this angle. And that's a shot from the Maogi over there. That was behind that island earlier. And seeing as how he's shooting at me, I am going to shoot back. And I can't quite tell which direction he's going, because the smoke on his ship is just going straight up. And then it kind of disappeared, so he's just sitting there. And so I take a shot. Get some decent penetrating damage there, and that's one of the weaknesses of the U.S. battleships at these lower tiers. The dispersion is really bad. You know, at max range, you saw there, that was a battleship. My shells landed on in front of them and behind them, so that's just something that you're going to have to deal with. And now he is backing up. I try and get a couple more armor-piercing shells. And now this guy that was charging at me earlier is finally giving me a broadside, so I'm going to take this opportunity to pump some armor-piercing shells into his side. And you see that red line right there on this Wyoming? That's actually the water line. If you can get some shots into that, there isn't really any armor there, and you can get some citadels. I only got some penetrating damage, unfortunately, because my shots didn't quite go into his waterline area. But I'm gonna have to turn out now, unfortunately. I didn't want to turn left because none of my guns would have been pointing at this guy, and I wasn't sure if those torpedoes were gonna kill him. They don't. So I'm just gonna get around this island and pump a couple of armor-piercing shells into this guy and kill him. Now, you saw earlier in the game when he was pointed bow arm to me, I wasn't aiming at the bottom of the ship or the water line. I was aiming more up at the superstructure, and that's actually because when those ships are bow on like that, you're not going to be able to penetrate their side armor or their nose of their ship, and you basically want to aim at the superstructure and penetrate the superstructure, because superstructure generally is very weakly armored. And this guy is slightly angled, but I don't think he's angled enough to bounce any of my shots, and I was going to find out right here. Yeah, and sure enough, 3 of our shots do about 8,000 damage. And we got 1 penetration, and his shells just kind of bounced harmlessly off of my ship. I was at enough level where it wasn't a problem. And I actually captured the C point, no thanks to anybody else in my team. And that right there is why you don't want to be bow on to a battleship. You saw his shells actually went through the nose of my ship, and I'm just kind of angling a little bit more. All the shells just bounced off of me. I want him to shoot at the side of my ship, and now I've got a little bit too much broadside showing, so I angled it back a little bit more. And I actually used my repair right there. As you can see on my ship, there's like a little gray area that actually shows you how much you can repair with one of your repairs or your damage control parties. And that right there, that's why you shoot at the water line. I actually shot at that little red stripe showing on the ship, and it went straight into a citadel under the front turrets, and he's pretty much done for. Now, unfortunately for us, because everybody who went up to the northwest side of the map died to this kamikaze R, basically because they were all sailing in straight lines while there was a destroyer around. We unfortunately have a destroyer that's going to take out our carriers, and I'm waiting for this guy to kind of turn and give me a little bit of a broadside so that I can land some shells on him, because nose on at 14 kilometers in a Wyoming or an Arkansas beta, most of your shells are going to miss. And I actually hit 1 over penetration for 3,000 damage. I'm surprised I even hit that. But
confirmed penetration.
Yeah, this game's pretty much over at this point. I'm actually angling in to see if I can get in the B point, but it's going to take me so long to get there that it'll never happen. And I made a little bit of an oopsie here. I saw those planes coming in, and I didn't turn into them before they dropped, so I ended up using a torpedo. But whenever torpedo bombers are coming at you, you want to turn your nose towards the torpedo bombers to make sure that you can avoid them. So at this point, he did get 1 torpedo on me, but it didn't do any flooding, so I didn't have to burn a damage control. And the game's pretty much over. There's no way I'm going to get into B and stop this, and even if I did, the point deficit is so severe that it wouldn't matter anyways. So there go both of our carriers. That battleship and the destroyer got both, or actually the cruiser back there, the Svetlana. And that right there, if you ever have dive bombers coming in on you, you always want to be broadside on to dive bombers, because you're going to take less bombs that way and less damage. So always be broadside on to dive bombers when they're coming in. But this is pretty much the game. Going to be over right there. They capped us out. Unfortunately, I played a bunch of games in this ship, and I couldn't get a win in any of them. The enemy carriers just outplayed ours so hard that it was not even funny. And same happened here, and that kamikaze R. He was a really good player. Nothing I could do.